You're listening to The Artist Athlete, episode 93. This podcast is dedicated to circus. It's a place for professionals in the industry to share their stories, viewpoints, and information, and a place for outsiders to get a sneak peek into this world. Hey friends, fans, and enemies, I'm Shannon McKenna. I'm the host of the Artist Athlete podcast and the founder of theartistathlete.com. So if you're solely a podcast listener, you don't know me any other way than you listen to my voice every week, talk to really cool people all over the world. Theartistathlete.com actually provides resources, mostly for aerialists, to help them train with better technique and a foundational basis of strength. For the month of November, I am taking a break from the podcast to work on an amazing new product called Shoulder Bar that is going to be available. It's not just for aerialists, it's for hand balancers, yogis, rock climbers, really anyone who uses their shoulders. But because I need to take the time to do that, I will be putting the podcast on hold. Kind of. Episode 100 is coming very soon, and I have a very special guest. We've already done the interview, but he only speaks Russian and French. So in order to create the episode, we're having to hire translators, extra sound editors, and putting a lot more time into that interview, which is what most of November will be. So even though I don't have episodes coming out, I am so thankful that I have Patreons who can help me with the funds of such a big project to bring to you all. Also, even though my normal listeners won't be hearing from me in November, on my Patreon, I'll be having little bonuses, little extras, cool little recordings. I've already put a few out that are super fun, mostly dealing with my dating life. But more of that is coming out on patreon.com/theartistathlete. So if you want to hear more from me, little behind the scenes things, go to patreon.com/theartistathlete. Again, patreon.com/theartistathlete. Sign up to become a Patreon. It's a ton of fun. My guest today is Sosina Wogayehu. Sosina started her circus career at the age of 6 and supported her studies by selling cigarettes on the streets of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, her hometown. She was already a well-traveled circus performer by her early teens, touring the world with Circus Ethiopia. She moved to Australia and got a degree from Swinburne University before being accepted to the National Institute of Circus Arts in Melbourne. After a long international career as a performing contortionist and juggler, Sosina returned to Ethiopia in 2013 with a wish. She wished to build on Ethiopia's rich circus traditions and share them around the world. She also wished to harness circus as a tool for empowerment, to engage young people and support their educational development, providing them with a pathway out of poverty. Sosina established Gamo Circus and Ethio Circus Entertainment. For over 15 years, she has managed the training of a series of highly skilled circus artists and supported them to perform in leading shows around the world, including Cirque du Soleil, of course, and Circus 1903. Her dream now is to establish a permanent home, which can ensure the work of providing a pathway out of unemployment for young people of Ethiopia, a place they can call home. The Circus Center of Addis Ababa. Here is my interview with Sosina Wogayehu. Sosina Wogayehu, welcome to the Artist Athlete podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. I start every episode by asking my artist, who are you and what do you do in this crazy world?
Well, I have been a performer for a very, very long time. I started performing circus and contortion basically from the age of 6. And I started traveling internationally in my early teens with Circus Ethiopia and traveled the world also with circusaurs. And I'm also a graduate from the National Circus School in Australia. And I'm also a graduate from Swinburne University under Performing Arts. Currently, I'm in Ethiopia. I moved back here almost 7 years ago because I wanted to start my own school, and also more than a school, I like to mentor the artists to have a better life skills when they're traveling abroad.
You were 6 years old when you started doing contortion. How did it start? Are you from a family? What was your introduction?
Oh, the introduction is actually it came on TV. We had only one channel in Ethiopia at the time, and we had this black and white TV. And there was a variety show on TV every Friday, and I saw these people performing in the very sparkly costumes and really like a kind of cabaret from the 80s. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This is what I want to be. So after that, every Friday, we have a small lounge room. So I push all the couches. So I make little space in the center where I copy everything they do. So I basically copy what they do and I perform for my family on the same time. So they oppose me and they clap for me and that was it really. Uh, so it's interesting because when I started contortion, there was no circus in Ethiopia, but the history of
Uh-huh.
circus actually before Circus Ethiopia was formed in 1991, there was individual people who were doing variety shows like we call Ababataspai. They're a storyteller from Ethiopia used to do a magic show, and also another boy named Belai who was studied in Russia was to do used to do like unicycle and male contortion act. So as a company, it started in 1991, and before that, there was no really a circus company, but we have a very, very long history of the culture of acrobatics. So
Mhm.
we have, a people of Gamo and Walaita people. They've been doing acrobatics for thousands of years for the people they love and care. So they do it in celebration or they do it in funerals. They do like side souls and
Mm.
back souls, and they do high jumps and all sorts of things, incredible things. And also, we have around Omo valleys, we have people walking, they do still walk, they do still walk and stuff like that. So there is I believe that there is, like really very long time, really long culture in Africa. Those are like indigenous cultures that adopted, like they have acrobatics culture. So there is the acrobatics culture always, blood. I mean, like, the kids are also really outdoor kids, the weather allow you to run around. So that actually, needs to do a lot of research and really deep into the culture, that's my wish as well, to do all sorts of things to discover those ancient stories of African culture. So the circus is formed in 1991 as a company, and it was a children's circus, and it's called Circus Ethiopia. Actually started in a Jewish compound. There was a mission, it's called Mission Salomon, where they took all the Ethiopian Jewish to Israel. So that's where it started in the compound, where the circus is formed. And then, the kids got interested and a lot of young people join, and on the meantime also there was young people from artists were doing some acrobatic shows in the schools. So it was a win-win situation when they joined this group of kids that started to juggle and tight wire and everything. And it's a kid like me who are very talented already. Means like I can bend in certain ways and do things. And I was doing gymnastics that time, so it was very easy for all the kids who are doing gymnastics already to join the circus.
So you had gymnastics training and that kind of translated to your circus work?
Yes. And then we start performing locally. For every Sunday we perform an outdoor show where we put a sound system and we make really loud music. So we get like 3,000-4,000 people instantly just surrounding the
Oh,
stage
wow.
and we perform. So we teach like kids for about like or young people about HIV or clean water. It's kind of a social circus that we educate people. And then the biggest breakthrough came for international gig was UNICEF Gala in Holland invited 25 kids from Ethiopia to perform for the Queen of Holland in 1995. And
Uh-huh.
I was part of that troupe as well. So we went to Europe, and I remember it was summer. So one thing I want to tell you is Ethiopia is in equator. So the day is equal than the night. all year round. And also we have a different calendar. We just started 2013. So if you come to Ethiopia, you get like 7 years younger.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And 2020 hasn't happened yet in Ethiopia.
No,
That's
no,
so
that's
awesome.
So anyhow, we went to Holland,
Yeah.
and then the day was very long. It doesn't get dark even 10 p.m. and 11, and everybody tell us to sleep, and we're like, the sun is up, so we're not going to sleep. So we just up all night, really. Like we had a few hours sleep when it gets dark. Because that's how we get
Yeah.
used to. And we performed that show, and then like a few weeks later, TV show invited us, 12 artists, and I was part of that as well. And then the producers and European promoters got interested with Circus Ethiopia and start booking us all over the place to perform in different festivals and everything. So that's where it starts really, uh, with our international traveling and performing full shows to European audience and international audiences.
And who was coordinating all of this?
We have people like we have our coach. We have like it's founded by Mark Lashan, Circus Ethiopia, on the help of American guys called Andy Goldman. But we have all the artistic director is taken by Ethiopians. Early on, it was Yarid Shetu and Awaka Amru, and after 95, Awaka Amru took a director position, and we have our own lighting designers and theatrical director, and we have a full band, traditional band. So it was like a full show. It was a full
That's
show
so
by
wonderful.
Ethiopian people. Yeah, yeah, that was a big success.
I'm always interested in this when I hear, especially kids or working artists, like people who have these like big successes or perform for a while and then decide to go to circus school afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
You always think about like in other professions, school is kind of like the lead into a profession.
Mm-hmm.
But with circus and a lot of the performing arts, like you don't necessarily have to go to school to have a career.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it sounds like you were already performing. So what made you decide to go to NICA
Before Nike, I went to another course, a performing art course at Swinburne University. That's my
hmm
first degree, and
in Australia? Yeah,
yeah,
in Melbourne.
that's where I studied about lighting and sound, stage management, production management, costume designing, all the production aspect of performance. And I was always captured by that because I always been on the stage from a young age. But I want to know
Mm.
what makes me look amazing, who makes me look amazing. So that actually gave me so much insight of making my own work. Now when I come back to Ethiopia, the way I design costumes or the way I look at things are very different because of that
Mm.
aspects. Like when we go to the festivals or other places, I understand the lights, I understand what looks good as well. It's really good stuff. And then the reason why I want to go to NICA is it was a new school and I was the first graduate. There was 8 graduates and I was one of them. And I want to practice in that big facility. I was so excited to have a place
Mhm.
like that. And also, our trainers are from China, from Mongolia, from Russia, from Australia, from Brazil. We have people from all over the world, and I was so excited to be part of that school because I can get a whole lot of inspiration from the trainers. Like these are like trainers that they spend all their life performing and
Totally.
teaching. So even my trainer, Mr. Jinjing, one day when I was at Nika, he brought this thing on his hand and he handed me, and then I opened. It was a coin. It's like a present from the King Haile Selassie. That's the king of Ethiopia. And I'm like, what? Where did you get this from? And then he said that, I performed in Ethiopia when I was 13 years old with Chinese troupe.
How cool is that?
Yes. So, being at
Because
night,
I'm assuming you were like the only Ethiopian in the school.
yeah, yeah.
And so to have this like connection with your homeland from your coach must have felt awesome.
No, that was incredible. I think, it was a great, but I actually go to school. When I go to NICA, I don't know where the time flies because I enjoyed it so much. And I
Mm.
knew exactly what I wanted. So after the performing art course at Swinburne, when I went to NICA, my aim is to build two world-class acts and
Okay.
to travel again. So after my degree, I want to travel again. That's what happened. Just 5 days before my graduation, I had two offers, one from the Australian, one of the biggest companies in Australia, and Universal Circus from America. So
Nice.
I chose to go with the Australian company because I know they travel all over the world. And also I would like to know a lot more about Australian culture and the outback of Australia. So it was really nice segue for me to, to go to a professional company again as an adult, because before that I was I was a minor. So and also I wanted to have a qualification. I think a lot of people go to a circus school after their performance is because that's accreditation. When if you want to teach, if you want to further in your studies, like for example, I want to doctorate, I can further my education. So it gives you something, and especially, if you go to the circus school older, that's probably it. If you want to do a cultural study, masters in cultural studies, or your PhD, or it will help you. And for me, to have that qualification also coming back to Ethiopia is something else. So that's why I went to NICA. I loved NICA so much. So they are the course that gives me so much of knowledge about performing arts, and like marketing and production management and all that kind of knowledge. So it's good. It's good. I was really happy that the age that I was, and that I still have time to perform again and to travel again as an adult and to explore, the world.
And that's interesting that you say that you had two offers, one from an Australian company and one from an American company, and you chose to stay in Australia because you wanted to learn more about the outback.
Yeah, but the Australian company Circus also doesn't stay in Australia all the time. They travel the world as well. So Universal Circus that time travels around America, but this one they travel around the world. So also, we have 3 months of the year we travel the outback of Australia, and really, really, really nice because you get to know the people, you get to know the earth, and you have a good connection with the nature and real Australia. So I have that privilege. I have that privilege that I can call home. Australia is my home too,
Mm.
because I'm immersed with that culture so much.
And is that generally how you choose your work, is based on like where you're going to be or what company you're going to work with?
I think I like my freedom. I mean, Circus Source is an incredible company because you can create your own work. For example, I did this movie, the King Kong, and I was so inspired by Josephine Baker. So I read a lot, and they said, "Oh, I want to do a Josephine Baker bouncing ball act." So you get to sell your idea to the director, and if you get excited, that means that it's gonna happen. You're gonna work on it. So it's about the idea that you manifest in. You sell it to the director, and then if you get excited, and because normally you build act in your brain, like you're like, I have this idea, I think this should look like this, and if you sell that imagination to the director and if he's very excited about it, then it's going to be done. So it's not like you fit into the mold, but also there is 100% artistic input in the company. And also, you get to learn other acts. Like I was a contortionist and juggler, but I climbed pole, and I did a bit of pushing the teeter board, or learn about flying trapeze and all that kind of stuff. And I played tuba, and I love that
Nice.
you continue to learn. You continue to learn, and the show revolves. The show revolves with your talent, so it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you're super well rounded, not only as a performer, but backstage as well, with lighting and management and production and all of your studies at Swinburne.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got the whole package.
Yeah, but also that also taught me that I still want to be a performer. You know,
Ah,
that also, at that time when I graduated, I knew exactly what I've learned. But also, I'm not ready to be backstage. I'm not ready to do that job yet. I still want to be on stage. So it's a good opportunity to learn. That's why also I went to NICA, to excel my skills, to polish what I have, to have a good character and marketing and business and the history of circus and all the other elements also that we've learned at NICA. And
right.
and
Totally.
I want to say thank you to Swinburne University that will sponsor me my education, but also Cirque du Soleil sponsored me to study at NICA the whole 3 years being paid by Cirque du Soleil. So I'm really grateful for that.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. So they funded your
Education.
academics?
Yeah.
Wow. How? Was there a grant or what?
I have got no idea. Basically, I went to NICA and then I passed. But, like I don't have any family in Australia to pay for it or anything. So, they see my talent as well. So they were, Cirque du Soleil had all these kind of things they do as a social thing. And, the director of NICA at that time, Pam Curry, approached them. There's an Ethiopian girl that was very talented, and would you like to help? And they're really happy to help. So I didn't pay for 3 years course. So it's all paid, and look where I am now. Now I can start giving back. you know. The thing is, I tell you, even early on when I was at Circus Ethiopia, early on, we used to get funding and costumes and sound systems and all sorts of things from Cirque du Soleil. So I grew up watching Cirque du Soleil videos, and also we used to wear their costumes. So I don't know if you know Ginny. Do you know Ginny? Ginny Jacinta? Yes. So I used to wear her costume as a young girl in Ethiopia. Yes. So this is a very interesting story because I love telling this story. We pretended to be those contortion girls from Novel Experience. So we used to watch this video, and we have the costume and we have the music. So we copy things, we like, wow, like, what do we like them? So I used to wear Ginny's costume because we are similar age. And
Mhm.
I think she's a little bit older than me, but we're similar age. When I went to Montreal in 2006, I went to visit Cirque du Soleil, and I went in there in the social sector. I went to the social place, and they pull out all this album and show me when I was younger in Circus Ethiopia, wearing those costumes. So I walked across the road to the National Circus School in Montreal, and then I saw Ginny teaching, and I was like, oh my God, I know this girl all my life, and here she is teaching. So I walked in and I said, hey, my name is Sosina, and I'm performing currently with Circus Oz at New Victory Theatre in New York. I came to visit here, and here you are. But you don't know me, but I know you very well since I was very young age in Ethiopia. And guess what? I used to wear your costume too. Your contortion costume used to be mine too. And she was really teary. She was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, yeah. And this is incredible that I get to see you. So she came to New York. She saw my show. She stayed in my apartment for 3 days, and we talked a lot, a lot, a lot. I saw her also this year. She's a mother of 3, and I'm a mother of 2. And we catch up, and we talk about how our body is holding after contortion, and having a baby and all that kind of stuff. And it's such a circus is such a great world. It's kind of, you have extended family all over the world that you can say, oh
It
my
is.
God, I know this person, I know this person, and I know this person. So it's such a an inspiration, but also to have to come with the full circle, still catching up what's going on in our lives. And I still hope
Absolutely.
one day I will invite her to Ethiopia to teach one day. I think she's incredible. I think she's
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah. So
I do too.
for us as well, that time, when we were
Mhm.
younger, it's very interesting to see colored, like darker skin person on the stage, because we can relate to that. You know what I mean? It's quite interesting because we are in Africa,
Sure.
and Ethiopia is the only country not colonized by any Western culture. So here we are in Ethiopia watching these videos, and then we see, Jean is like, wow, she looks at me. She's, like, this is amazing. Like, there
Ah,
is a hope in it. Like, there is a hope in it that you can reach somewhere, because we've seen European doing it all the time. But to see her in there was also, it's, I guess, like, it opens your eyes that
yeah.
there is a place in the world for you. Now these days we have a lot of African artists, but that time, it's still not yeah, still not going. So it's quite interesting for us. And also, there is no internet. There is no access to things that you see other people perform. So we only have these videos that we say from Cirque du Soleil or some other places. Full shows. We don't see other things because there is no internet.
How has the internet changed circus in Ethiopia?
Wow, it does change a lot. It does change a lot because we see new skills, we see new inventions, We see, like Monte Carlo, who is the winners. Let's see their act, you know.
Yeah,
um,
sure.
and also, we choose music and inspirations. We hear more and more African music is coming out.
Uh-huh.
We try to be authentic, but also to find that in the market is fantastic. There is so
Yeah,
much.
I guess this is my question is like, has the globalization and like the outside influences from the internet changed the approach or like what circus looks like? Not only in Ethiopia, but I think this is kind of happening all over the world.
I think it does. I think it does. I mean, in Circus Ethiopia, when it's formed, we do it, traditionally with our own costumes and own band and everything. But
Hmm.
then, individual acts start coming out from Ethiopia, like, bouncing ball act can be employed by anybody, or contortion, or banquet act, or Ethiopian. So the market is out there now. It's about the industry that we're talking about is the industry. So individual acts come out, but we are in the progress of building the industry in the country because it's changed. The world is changing, and we're competing against Russian and Chinese and all the other countries. So it's really important for us to have a safe place to train, a safe place to perform in the country, and sell ourselves to the world with really complete acts and shows, and made in Ethiopia shows. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's still progress and still, but the internet changed quite a lot. Young people also can communicate outside and get their own work. It depends on how much they get paid, or you know what I mean. That part
Hmm.
is still a challenge because most are broken English and lost in translation sometimes. And the conditions of the contracts, that kind of stuff. Like I'm aware of it, like I can see that I can change. I can say I can put my conditions for the artists that I manage, especially if they're minors. I can put the conditions in there. But not many young people can do that. If they get a job, they'll go. But that's something that we it builds as an industry.
Yeah, and I think it's a really important point you make. It's something you mentioned at the very beginning, and that's where I was like, oh, I want to ask this question right away, but I wanted to get like a foundation for your background first. But you said in Circus Ethiopia and the school you're building and everything, you're not only teaching technique and you're not only teaching the artistry behind circus, but also kind of helping these artists prepare for the life in the industry.
I think it's really, really important in Ethiopia where young people live, even when they're over 18, they live with their parents. So they go to the outside world. So you really need to put the world in them first before they leave, but also
How do you do that?
you do that all the time. I do it all the time.
Mm.
You put the world in there, like what they expect and
It's
what
such a
they don't.
beautiful way to say it.
Yeah,
Put the world in them.
yeah, in the brain because you have to. I mean, like if a minor and an older person travel together, you teach them that it's illegal to leave minor at home by themselves. You know,
Uh-huh.
if you're in America, you're not allowed to drink unless you're 21.
Uh-huh.
And if you're over 18, you're not allowed to touch any girls under 18. This is like a life skill, really, because when you are in the world, it's a dangerous place as well, because these young people is not doing what they're doing because they know it. You know what I mean? It's just because it's natural for them, or it's here is different. So I think, whatever country they go, there is always different things. Like if they go to Saudi Arabia or if they go to other places, it's a very different custom. I mean, the rules apply similar, but well, drinking, walking, whatever, living minors and stuff like that. Like if they're a group as well, you mentor them. If there is minors, you're not gonna allow to do things like they're not supposed to see. Yeah, really. So they get to know the world in their own ways, but make them prepare. Put the world in them. So the outside world is not how it looks, or it's not perception. There is a law. So yeah, I think that's a big job. Like that's a big job. I mean, like when you manage artists in Africa, or in Ethiopia, it's not like you give a contract and hey, you go over there and then somebody will take you and that's it. It will take a few rounds for them to understand what's going on. You have to make sure they go into their destination and they don't get lost in transits. There's a lot of jobs needs to be done, but they're doing great. They're doing great.
you mentioned Saudi Arabia. Where do you book these artists? In
Oh,
cabarets or?
no, different shows. It's like a short shows and long shows.
Okay.
You know, there are different shows. There are different shows, and the customs are different always. In every each country, it's different. So there is also, a visa issues for African artists, as you know. So we do a whole lot of building a relation with the embassies and making sure they get to know us, making sure that we tell them that we do a genuine stuff. We invite them to different shows, school shows once in a while. And, we build that relationship, diplomatic relationship for them to trust that these young people deserve to have a place in the world. So that's also another job. So
Yeah.
you have to wear different hats all the time. You're going to be a good juggler, hat juggler all the time.
What's been the most surprising thing about your work in this kind of producing agent role?
I lived in Australia for 16 years. I guess I'm very outspoken in Africa. I do speak my heart. So it's a culturally shift again, even if I grew up in Ethiopia, but I also have an Australian culture in me. And also, I feel like there is no much woman in leadership, even in our industry. It's really, really small in leadership. I'm not talking about artists, but leadership, it's almost zero. So you are very against with the very masculine people all the time, not only in the circus, but in the government offices and everything. Our new prime minister did half of the cabinet women, and I thought that was very, very, very hopeful. It gave me hope in Africa. But still, it's a long way, and we need to have a female leadership in the country as a whole. So that's the challenge as a whole. I think women are very smart, and also there is a nurturing and caring element to it. I think when you manage artists, I think that's a very nice quality to have. So, yeah, that's one of the challenge, to be in a place where the leadership is very small, female
Yeah, sure.
representation in leadership.
And when you're talking to government officials, especially I think within Ethiopia, I find it really interesting. I'm thinking about like, because as I mentioned before, I'm American, and Americans have a very specific idea of what circus is. They think of it as like elephants and big circus tents and clowns and, like the very traditional or like Western traditional model of circus. And so, kind of explaining to people in North America, like what circus could be if it's something a little different is always kind of a challenge. And I'm interested to hear, like, do you find challenges within Ethiopia about introducing people to the art form in the way that you want
Huge,
to present it?
huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And I have been working on it for many, many, many years. Now we are just about to start a campaign, probably next week. We just started and then we have to figure out something and we stopped. And now we're starting again, probably next week.
Okay.
We are building, it's called the Circus Center in Ethiopia. It will be a performance space as well as a training space. So this will be like a life changing for Ethiopia because this will be the first permanent big top that we're going to build. This will give
Wow.
This is going to give a great opportunity for young Ethiopians to perform for their family. Most well-known, even all well-known artists that travel around the world, never been seen by their parents even under light. So my parents passed away without seeing me under light, and I want to give that to the kids in Ethiopia. So that's a big thing. That's a big thing, and we there is a natural park. It's called the Toto Park, and we have opportunity to build it there. We have a big fundraising campaign, and we're hoping to raise $800,000 to build this venue, and this will mean a lot. And we're also going to give 300 tickets per week for government school kids free of charge. So they'll be introduced to the circus in a real way, setting up a goal in their own role models, as you call it, their own Ethiopian world leading artists performing in front of them. And it's very, very important to me. And I think it's very, very important for Ethiopia that circus has been going for 29 years. And these young people were performing all over the world to perform for their local community. Like, really, it's important. And we have to have a sustainable industry in the country.
Yeah. And are you guys out of, is it Addis Ababa?
Yes.
Is the capital?
Yes.
Okay. What are some misconceptions that people have about Ethiopian circus?
It's not they misunderstood or anything. They know that there are people going abroad and perform, but
Right.
they don't look at it as a real job like any other countries. Like is it a real job
Okay.
or is it something? So and also they look at it more like a side kind of entertainment. So there is like would be a nice music band, and on the break someone will come and just entertain. They don't see it like a full entertainment. And I think it's
Hmm.
really, really important to set that in the country. And we'll be able to build this circus center in Toto where it's a natural park. It's a beautiful place. And then we hope to build also a school in a national level like NICA, the way I studied. I would love, my dream is to give a present for Ethiopia where we have a great riggers and great lighting designers and great, the employment is not only artists, but to have that aspect and to have that
Yes.
opportunity for these young people to build the industry, to have the safety measures, having riggers would be amazing, having Ethiopian riggers going all over the world, doing rigging. So I think there is a big industry out there and opportunities out there, and Ethiopians are really good. Like we're really well behaved as an artist, and I'm sure no, seriously. I mean, like that's part of the job description that you have to behave. Like and being a team player. In a cast. So that also to do with the mentoring, the mentoring hat.
Yes. Teach them to be well behaved.
Oh yeah, and then
Wow.
team player, like let other artists also to shine. If they ask you to support them, support them. You don't have to do only your act. You can support other artists as well. It's okay.
So, do you have a team that's helping you with this initiative? Like, how are you building this over time? I'm like thinking, like, okay, so you had this amazing career, you came back to Ethiopia, you knew you wanted to give back. Because it's one thing to like establish artists and establish acts and book them and do that kind of work, but to build like a facility and an infrastructure for the continuation of circus is, I mean, it sounds like a huge undertaking. I don't know,
Well,
but
then nothing is a huge for me. Nothing. I always take full
ah,
risk and everything. But I think the talent is already here. So the
okay.
talent is already here. We can make like full shows all over. Like we have a whole lot of talent. But the main part for me is what is interesting is once this facility is done, we will train people to be riggers, and we also front of house manager, backstage managers. We train older artists that who no longer performing but still want to be in the
Yes.
performing industry. So that is that. But also with our fundraising campaign, the Circus Center is also an Australian company. We set it up to be like that. And we have an incredible team in Australia who's, the backbone of this fundraising campaign. We just built a website called circusethiopia.org.
Okay. There will be a link to it in the show notes. You guys go check it out, circusethiopia.org.
Yes. And over there, you can see what our dreams are and what we want to be in the future, what we are now, and hoping the whole world, we call them our circus tribes. Our circus tribes
Mm,
will come along and join us, to help us build this space because we can hold the residencies, we can invite other shows to the country, we can expose circus in a big way in the country of 110 million people. This will be the first one. It's 500-seater event venue. What are the things also to keep in mind is from 110 million, 70% of that population is under 30.
wow. Is that
Yes,
right?
yes. And
Wow.
48% of that population is under 15 of age. So it's really, really important.
What?
Yeah, really important for Ethiopia, to have an access to perform, to have an access where people can create, to have an access where we can call home for a circus. Like I think I would love the kids to say, I'm going to the circus, you know, with their parents.
Huh?
I would love kids saying all the time, saying, I would like to go to the circus. Can we go to the circus? Because I know there's so
Wow.
much joy in it. It
Yeah.
unlocks brain. It unlocks. They don't have to be a performer. but it does unlock a brain. I mean, circus is more than performance for me.
What else is it? Yeah.
It's a confidence. I mean, like I used to sell. I was a street vendor from the age of 9 to 13. I was selling cigarettes and chewing gums on the street of Addis, and that skill came handy later on in my life because over there on the street, I get used to talking to drunk people, all sorts of people, and I negotiate, and I still sell my products, and that became really handy later on when I went to Australia. I didn't have a government support. And I was busking on the street of Auckland Street, where it's, a nice tourist area, where I do plaits, single plaits with the colorful extension. And I charge like $6. That's a really good for a student, for a student to make that kind of money. So that became really handy because I learned how to negotiate that in Africa. So any skill is valuable. It's a value added. It's a value added. The actual fact that I was here in Ethiopia, growing up here, and when I go to Australia, I can see when the opportunities are rising in front of my eyes. I'm like, okay, I grab it. There's no second thought because I know that's better than what I have, and I'll just go for it. And I think that's the biggest lesson, having that kind of background. Many people, many young people in the West, they've been given, everything is given to them. They get medals since they were very young age. To earn our medal is gonna take a really long time, and I don't know if that is really encouraging sometimes what it does to young people because they have a lot of medals. Like I see kids, like they always have medals. I mean, would they know to about winning? Like how many of them know winning because they still get medals? I don't know because we lived in a competitive environment, to have a space to train, to use your time properly, and all that kind of things. It's not given to us. It's there. It's opportunity, so we grab it. And I think that's a great lesson. I think that like Ethiopia gave me that. Growing up in Ethiopia, people might think, oh, it's a country with poverty, but no. It's actually what's very important is to have your family who support you. I had my family who support me, regardless where in the world you are. Also, I earn everything. I earn my income. I earn everything. They gave me that freedom to earn. They didn't hand out everything for me. So
right.
I earn it. If I clean, I have the pocket money. If I do this, I have this. It's always been like that. So it's not given. It's not given. And that gives you a really good life skill when you go abroad. Even when I was young age, I was confident that I can live anywhere in the world. You drop me somewhere and I can still manage to live. It just didn't bother me, that's a good skill.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think for circus, it's so important, maybe not particularly, but because no one's going to give you the skills. No one's going to give you the tricks. No one's going to give you the act. You have to do it. No one can do it for you.
Yeah.
And the level and expectation of being entertaining, there's a standard, right?
Yeah, there's a standard, but also having a unique ability. I don't think like everybody has to mold in certain way or a certain shape. I think individuality matters. How you operate, how you shine on stage matters. You don't want to see people that are molded in a certain way. I'm not that kind of person at all. I like personality.
Yeah.
I like how creative it is. Like you can be really, really bendy and incredible skill wise, but then you could be really boring at. Then you
It's so true. Yeah.
then you have a less tricks, but amazing performance skill. So it goes side by side. It goes, we go to
Yeah.
crazy places as a performer. I've done contortion in popcorn box. I was standing in front of house tent with Tim Colwell, who is the founder of Circus Oz. I was leaning to this popcorn machine, and I thought, oh, I bet I can fit in this. And then I built an act around that. And then 1 year later, I said, actually, I really would like to do a Houdini act. Actually, it has to be, water filled from the bottom, and it's crazy scary. And I've been my chest and in contortion position, chest down. These pumps would fill the water full, and it's chained and everything. So the stage manager is there with a sledgehammer, like, I guess like it's part of a meditation where, you're like in Hawaii. I never thought that I was in the show when I'm in there.
Wait, so you were in the box in water?
Yeah, yeah. I go in an empty box from the bottom, from the top, and then the water pumps up from the bottom to this perspex glass, which is I'm in the contortion position. Chest down, my legs over my head, and the full, like it's long. It's like a Houdini act, and it freaks people out. But I'm proud that I've done it. But I also think now I have 2 kids. How could I do that? Like I'm bloody crazy sometimes.
I know it seems so normal in the moment, right?
Oh no!
Wait, I have a question about this, which is the stage manager was standing by with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
What signal would that person have needed to have gotten you out of the box?
My hand would be out. My hand would be like on the surface, flat.
Okay.
I mean, if it is before my time, then normally, there is a TikTok time, and it's people get nervous. And
sure. That's part of the fun of it, hey?
Oh, no, I love it. It's adrenaline, It's like a car crash. It's like a car crash. You don't sleep, if you perform, like I don't sleep at night. After the show, I'm like, wow, It's like, it's adrenaline, it's adrenaline. It's crazy. But I loved it. And it's an original act. And it hasn't been done after that. Hopefully that I will train someone to do it some days, if they're crazy enough.
For sure. That's amazing. Well, Sosina, we're coming to the end of our time. I have one last question I want to ask, and it's a question I ask every guest. And it is, well, first, actually, so you said circusethiopia.org is where people can follow and donate and get information about it?
Yes.
About the circus school.
It's not only the circus school. We're going to build the first performance space in Ethiopia. This is a gift for us.
Amazing. All right, guys. So circusethiopia.org, go there, and then go to Ethiopia and check out the amazing circus space that we're all going to help build. That's so cool.
Great. And one more thing I want to add is if there are companies, I mean, we are interested because we're a social enterprise and we're working with the school kids once the thing is built. If there are a circus school around, even the kids' school, we would love them to bake cakes and sell like little stores. This is a fantastic opportunity, not like you support in poor country for poverty. No. It's for empowerment. We have already the talent. We just want to perform in front of our audience and our parents, So really,
yes.
And if they're a company and if they raise over $20,000, then we're gonna put their name, permanently in the space somewhere.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, buy a brick. Yeah.
20,000, buy a brick.
Yeah.
Cool. What advice would you give to yourself at the beginning of your career?
At the beginning of my career, that's when I was 6 years old. No, I think when I'm a little bit matured, just take up the world. The world is your oyster. It's in your hand. You take it and you lose it. It's there. And for me, even when I was younger, I knew I was going to travel. I knew I'll be somewhere. And some kids will realize it early on, but also it's about the parents to see that closely, the potential in a young child, to support.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's invisible. Sometimes those talents are not discovered late. But I think in every kid, there is a potential to be something and just to nurture. So I guess like for me, it was like, if you're on the stage, if it is a 1,200 seat tent, and give a hug for 1,200 seat audience, like, yeah, So,
yeah.
Just open. I think it's a nice place to be on the stage. And yeah, that was my thing. When I go out on the stage, I feel like I'm giving a hug for 1,200 seat, for 1,200 audience. I'm like, I open my arms. It's like, and then a lot of people say to me when I come out, we thought you were tall. You look very big on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about personality, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
For sure. And good lines.
Yes.
Well, Sosina, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It was so lovely to speak with you today.
Thank you so much for interviewing me. I'm glad that we made it. And
yes.
I hope this will inspire people and be on board. And we'd love to have them in Ethiopia. If anyone would come and visit and help us to build a home, and it would be fantastic.
Oh, for sure. As soon as the borders open up again, I'm on the next flight. I would love to come to Ethiopia to hang out with you. with y'all.
Come and dance with us.
Can't wait. That was my interview with Sosina Wogayehu. It was so awesome to have Sosina on the show. I loved hearing her story about Jenny Jacinko, who is an amazing contortionist, very well respected and well established in Montreal. And to hear that they have that connection because Sosina wore her costume in Ethiopia is so incredible. And it really is true that the circus world seems very large sometimes, but is actually really small. And when you're a part of it, you have family all over the world. And after this interview, I felt like I had a little bit of family in Ethiopia with Sosina. I checked out her website, circusethiopia.org. Make sure you put in .org, not .com, because there's also a circusethiopia.com. But Sosina's is circusethiopia.org, and it has a place to donate, and it also has pictures of the site, which look absolutely beautiful. So go check that out. If you have a couple bucks to throw at this amazing project, do the thing. You would want the same if you were building a circus center in your country, right? And as for me, I'm on Instagram at @the_artist_athlete. My website is theartistathlete.com. I'm on Facebook, The Artist Athlete, and that Patreon again. If you miss me all November and you want to get at me, patreon.com/theartistathlete. There's going to be some little things there. I would love to say talk at you next week, but actually talk at you next month, friends, fans, and enemies. The Artist Athlete podcast is supported solely by donations from people like you. Here's what some of those people have to say.
Hi everyone, I'm Dominique, a ground acrobat, trapeze artist, and coach, currently bringing circus to the extremely cold but very beautiful Northern Ontario, Canada. Circus has changed my life and I'm so grateful to everyone in this community. Find me on Instagram at DomUpsideDown or my website, domupsidedown.com.
Hi everyone, this is Allie Cooper, owner and coach at the Radical Movement Factory in Santa Cruz, California. I love supporting the Artist Athlete podcast and the amazing community Shannon has created here. I teach rope and fabric and have a circus conditioning app available on iTunes called Cirque Plus. You can follow me on Instagram at AllieCooper_, and if you find yourself in California, come say hi.
Hi, I'm Leah. I hate conditioning. So I created the ABCs of Fitness, a fun, full program of active flexibility, body weight, and cardio with personal daily check-ins to motivate you wherever you are and whatever discipline you do. Join our next 19-day check-in challenge and slide into my DMs on Instagram at ABCs of Fitness.
Aloha! My name is Beth Russell, and I live on the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii. I am an aerial artist and movement instructor specializing in chakra yoga to keep me balanced and grounded. I play with silks, trapeze, lyra, rope, acro, aerial yoga and dance, slacklining, pole, bungee, and climbing. Really anything that goes up and allows me to explore 3D space. You can find my dedicated aerial page on Instagram at Maui Aerialist. If you find yourself coming to Maui, let's play.
Hey there, friends, fans, and enemies. This is Chris Alston, Patreon of the Artist Athlete podcast, straps artist and lyra performer and acrobat out of Greenville, South Carolina. So if you're ever passing through, make sure to stop in and see me and my friends. We have a wonderful space, and we'd love to see you.
Hi, my name is Erica Lee. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm an aerialist. I teach performing arts to elementary school during the day and do pole and sling and rope by night. I really, really like the Artist Athlete podcast because it gives me a lot of circus goals to look forward to. It gives me a lot of insight on what's going on around the world in circus, and that's why I'm Patreon.
Hello all. Thank you for tuning in to the Artist Athlete podcast. I am Opal Schwartz from Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're ever in the cities, feel free to stop by the Aviary Minneapolis. It's a great time. With that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and goodbye.
Hey there, artists and athletes. This is Andy Smith, owner and artistic director at Saltaire Circus School in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And I want to thank you for contributing to the Artist Athlete podcast. If you ever find yourself down in Florida, come check us out. Whether you're an artist, athlete, or someone ordinary just looking to be extraordinary, we got a place for you.